we're moving from the freeze to the thaw. And I know there's a lot of variables about when we're going to come out of this COVID-19 into truly back to regular business. And there's so many different models and forecasts when that's happening. But clearly we're starting to see signs from this just sudden stop to now we're starting to see some signs that things are hopefully getting back to normal. There's two groups of customers, and I'm speaking very broadly when I say this. Some of us are incredibly busy. I'm just going to use the stereotype of you make hand sanitizer, or you make toilet paper, or PP&E equipment. And then there's a whole big bunch group of us that are in a very slow mode. We're working with plant shutdowns or great reductions in diminished workforce. So the different buckets of customers, this first couple is around the busy group. And then some of the messages that we're talking about from here are to think and be lean and efficient. You're probably busier than you've ever been, busier than your busiest time, some of you. It's so important that you still are able to address your preventive maintenance and your corrective maintenance in a properly prioritized and optimized way, especially with the reduced and the essential staff and the impacts of social distancing. So for example, in Asset Essentials, when you look at a list of work orders, try to take advantage of this concept of calculated criticality. The concept is if we look at the priority of a work order and then we look at the criticality of the asset of that work order, we can calculate a calculated criticality. Some of you might know it as a RIME index, R-I-M-E. And what it does is, in the way our calculations work, the lower the number, the more critical that work order is. And when you do that, it recalibrates your list of work orders. Instead of just going by a straight priority, you're going to see here that medium priority work orders are outranking high priority work orders. Why? Because this asset is more essential to our operations. So it's just really important that you're really focused on, if you're really busy, you still got to get to those work orders, get to the ones that are most essential to your operations. Just a little tip and a trick. Another really critical thing is to make sure you're documenting your work. Make sure you're recording if it's a COVID-19 related work order, disinfection, sanitization, PP&E, whatever it may be, take the time. Because eventually when that chaos is going to slow down, you're going to have to look back and analyze and report on what you did. Also for the busy group, as we move towards the thaw, and continuing on the theme of thinking and being lean and efficient, make sure you have the parts you need. We're hearing all kinds of stories about the distribution chain being not as effective. It's harder to get certain items. You may have longer lead times. Don't get caught in a stock out. Rely on the features that will tell you the parts you're low on, that will send you an email that, hey, you're low on these parts. It's right there on your dashboard when you log into Asset Essentials. Don't get caught in a stock out. Also rely on the tools that are embedded in our solutions for communication and to update your team. You know, people are working from all over the place, working from home, they're coming in, they're at different, because of social distancing, you're not having as much face-to-face time with people. Take advantage of the messages on the dashboard. Take advantage of putting charts or KPIs on your dashboard so you can alert people and identify what's going on with the work. For the customers of ours that are more in that slow mode right now, and we really feel for you all, and we're all kind of in the same boat, but some of the areas you might be focused on or looking at when you're moving from freeze to thaw, some of you may be in plant shutdowns, partial, complete. You can let Asset Essentials help manage this process. For example, suspending PMs if they're not appropriate to do right now. A couple ways to look at that. You can shut off entirely the preventive maintenance generation. And again, I am going to emphasize very, very strongly on this. This is a temporary thing. We don't want to be stopping our PMs forever. But if you need to shut your PMs off, treat it like a site closure, which you can do in the system. You can also hand select or group select PMs. Maybe it's different production lines or different buildings or whatever criteria you might have, and temporarily suspend them, turn them inactive. You don't want necessarily to generate work orders, preventive maintenance work orders that are not necessary to do and are going to sort of pollute your overall list. Another area that you can focus on if you have the time, and many of us do have the time right now, is to chip away at your deferred maintenance, your work order backlog. I know I personally have done tons of projects around my house and my yard with this available spare time that I wasn't planning on. It's no different in your plant. Many of you are probably thinking this way already, but as you're doing it, you can rely on the different work orders, management screens. Again, that calculated criticality concept, maybe this is more for preventive maintenance and long-term corrective maintenance work orders. Prioritize those projects and that work that you would have a tough time getting to under more normal operations. It's also an opportunity to really kind of analyze the effectiveness of your system, your asset effectiveness. Try to look at future facility needs, some capital, some budget planning, and so forth. There's all kinds of great reporting and analysis in the system that's going to identify where's your downtime coming from. Analyze that. Try to figure out, is it a possibility that you might be able to improve some of your preventive maintenance procedures, or is it engineering-related issues, or whatever it may be. Look at repair versus replacement. It's a good time to kind of focus in on that quote-unquote paperwork and analysis to really analyze what's been going on in the past and help you be ready when things start to pick up to normal. Also, when you get to your plant startup phase, rely on Asset Essentials. This is our safety programs module, and I understand that not everybody has safety, and if you don't, then reach out to your appropriate DUDE representative to talk about that. But there's a great opportunity to manage all your startup processes, production line startup checklists. I mean, really any safety program can be in here. Traditionally, safety modules could be used for lockout, tagout, job safety assessments, and that type of stuff, but there's nothing to prevent you from creating these checklists and plant startup routines. So great for managing external contractors and so forth, what the policies are going to be when they are able to come back in the building. And please don't forget, turn your PMs back on. You're going to want to jump right back into those best practices when you're ready to start getting back to normal.